you want to, if you're going to go in and have a meeting with organizations, companies, you're going to ask them for something, you got to take it seriously. I think part of it is rehearsing, but I think towards the end you start taking it seriously and acting as though it was real. The other part is I felt like you started speaking from the heart and really, like, you guys go to this school. You have to show that you actually care about it. If I don't believe that you actually like going to this school, I'm not going to help you persuade other people to go to the school, right? So get those thoughts down in terms of like really what you appreciated about it, you personally. Forget about parents or other agencies that you want to persuade. Think about from your perspective, why are you glad and lucky that you go to this school, right? So those are the things that are going to be true to you, and that's going to be, hopefully you'll find somebody else who thinks the same way and you can communicate that. They'll understand, wow, these guys really, they're glad to be where they are. I believe them, I believe what they're saying. Maybe I will consider it. So that said, I think you guys did a great job. Just keep rehearsing it. When you guys started talking about your campaign, I think you can separate. For me, it's easier to understand. I start with two different audiences, right? Parents and students. You guys have a good sense of the message, which is your pros and cons. And then you also have your media. So how are you going to communicate those messages, right? In the presentation, it started to get a little bit blurred when you started talking about, well, some pros and cons and for parents. And then when you started talking about students, it was about like social media. Social media is a way to communicate what you want to say to your student audience, if that's what you're saying. We're going to reach students via social media. Well, what are you going to say? Okay, here's the list of pros and cons for the students. Here's a list of pros and cons, or here's what we want to tell parents. This is how we're going to communicate that to them. You mentioned the wearing the caps and gowns, right? But what else? What's another way you're going to get to that parent audience? And even with the cap and gown, what are you going to actually say once if a parent notices, hey, and asks questions? What are you going to? What's that pitch to the parent? So it would be useful if you have your parent audience, your student audience, your objective, your message, and your media tactics, right? Do you feel like you guys have those all mapped out?
So the media tactics would be, I'm going to use Twitter, or I'm going to use Facebook, or I'm going to post this hashtag, and
right. Are you going to do flyers? Are you going to do handouts? Are you going to do chalk drawings that say, hey parents, here's what's great about Mecca? You said that's where a lot of the dollars come into play. You said you have zero budget, and so you got to think about how are you going to actually get that audience? How are you going to reach them? Even with social media, exactly what? Your individual social media accounts? Does Mecca have a social media platform?
Yeah.
Is that the primary one you're going to utilize?
No.
Yeah, I think just in terms of overall feedback, I think that to his point, all the points that he said are true. You guys started taking it more serious toward the end. The part that I didn't see, which I thought was the most exciting over the last couple of days, which was the idea of bringing them both together. So you guys mentioned the high school fair, but you didn't go back to explaining what the thinking was behind that. You guys mentioned the social media, but you didn't mention the YouTube videos and the confessionals and how those two things live in the same space to reach both demographic, right? So you set the stage for the play, but you never actually performed the play, meaning you actually did not tell what the campaign idea was. That's what I noticed. You guys started talking a lot from the heart and talking about the school overall and started trying to sell them on going to the school, when really you should be selling them on the idea that you're going to use to sell other people on the school.
Yeah. What can somebody give us a snapshot of the creative campaign, the videos? What else are you talking about?
Dominique, come on, you can do it.
Wait, about that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Talk about the video blog.
We were brainstorming ideas about trying to campaign the school, and we came up with the thought of a YouTube video, a fun like vlog, and we were talking about how we were gonna like put in like, I don't know, a girls' fashion show to talk about like how people dress and stuff, because we don't have to wear uniform. And we were also gonna talk about like our artwork that we've done in art class, and we're gonna show how we work academically. And
Okay, and Rosa, once these videos are created, Rosa, once these videos are created, what happens now? How you gonna reach the parents? And how does the two connect?
I don't know. Honestly, I really don't.
You have no idea?
No.
Okay, so you don't remember any of the parts about the high school fair and why they're
Yes.
going there?
Yes.
So can you explain kind of why and what the idea was about that?
The idea was since you're gonna wear Catholic gown since you just came out of 8th grade, and well, since we're the first high school to be in Mecca, since it's a new school, that we're basically seniors, so we wear it to show that we're actually graduating already, going off to college, and like showing our experience already in learning new things and stuff.
Okay, what is the high school fair? Can somebody explain? Go ahead, Chris.
The high school fair is basically a place where a lot of students go to like look at high schools and try to make decisions about where they're gonna go when they get into 9th grade. And so it's like a lot of schools go there just to try and get kids to come to their school and get the most applicants, and that's exactly what we're trying to
Is it the most applicants or the best?
do. It's both.
It's
a little bit
extremely
of-
important too, because you need to choose the right high school for you, that best suits you. Because after high school, that's like basically the beginning of your future. So that's why we're trying to persuade people and tell them that we're the better high school. And we are, we're not lying about it.
Alright, so in that forum, there's gonna be all these other schools that are trying to persuade other people, 8th graders, to go to their school. So you're gonna have stiff competition, right? Everybody's gonna be doing their own pitch, and you gotta be convincing enough in that environment. It's not just somebody's already leaning towards Mecca. You gotta go out and convince people while you've got a dozen other ones trying to do the same thing. Right, so you guys gotta be prepared for that and try to understand what the other guy is saying, right? Say, if you're talking to me and I'm an 8th grader and I've already heard a pitch from this guy who that sounded pretty good. And I'm gonna say, well, I like them because they do X, Y, and Z. How are you gonna respond to that?
Yeah, and I would include, you guys started to get into some specifics on projects that you worked on. So I would include some specific examples, like what was your favorite project that you got to work on this year? Kind of examples of, you get to come out and come to ad agencies and talk with different departments. So anything that would definitely be different, that's more of a specific story that you can tell, I think would be helpful too.
Like experience?
Yeah, experience, or like, do you have like a story, what was your favorite project? You could tell, a student that.
When is this high school fair, and when are you trying to do all your other stuff? Social media to reach kids and...
When is the high school fair?
September.
December, October, yeah.
It starts in September.
There's another one. The second round was.
We're not at second, we're not gonna be,
second round,
we're not at
second
second,
round
we're not second round anymore, or first round. But his point about who's our competition, do you want are you trying to take a kid who's gonna go to Murray Bertram? Or are you gonna try and get a kid who's gonna go to Bronx Science? Bronx Science. So you have to learn what? What do you need to know? What do you need to know? If that's your competition, what do you need to find out?
How to persuade people.
Figure them out,
Figure out what?
what their interests are, what they plan to do in life.
Okay, so what a student that would go to Bronx Science is looking for, right?
PhD. No.
But I
Probably.
think the point here is maybe researching your competition and seeing what they're doing, how you can be different from that. Just knowing your audience I mean, did you guys all come from the same high school?
No.
Probably not, right? So, you know, thinking about other students in your high school where you want, how you would want, how, you know, this school could sell you if you were to go back into 8th grade.
Questions, concerns?
Are you guys ready?
No.
You guys know how to move forward, like the next steps you're gonna take?
Yeah, we heard. Yeah, so we heard.
And we need all the equipment.
And the
I'm sure the
confidence.
caps and gowns, we need to get them. And we need to design the posters that we're gonna put up and
And the video.
Yeah, we're gonna start
And
on
the
our
video
YouTube.
and the ads, we're gonna put up on Facebook, but we know how to do it, we just need to actually follow.
Time.
Here's one thing that I'll say, being in the industry, we have meetings all the time, we talk about a whole bunch of things, and the second you leave, all that's forgotten, right? You guys are saying that you know what you need to do next, but do you really? And if you don't, you better write it down. And coming out of this meeting, have another one then, and say, here's all the things we need to do. Here's the things that we need to do first. Here are the other things that we need to do after we figure out the first things.
So what are your next steps? What do you need to find out?
A competition.
So are you writing all this down? What are your next steps? What are your next steps?
You guys are young, you have good memories, but don't think they're that good.
I could talk to Professor Morgenstern and design a poster easily.
But you're working as a team,
We are, yeah.
and you have
It
to
doesn't
have
require
a clear message, and you have to have one voice. You have to have a very concrete step-by-step plan.
Well, I think these two over here are taking notes seriously. You guys want to share your notes with the rest of the class or no? I see you writing feverishly over there, so please explain what it is that we need to do next.
See what they have to offer that we don't.
Are there anything else they missed?
I would also kind of research what other guerrilla marketing campaigns, what they've done, just to get some other ideas beyond what you have up here. Research the most successful guerrilla campaigns or something like that. You can probably get a lot of ideas out of that.
What's your timeline on shooting these videos?
Soon.
That's too, that, you need to be specific, a date and time.
You guys talked about a fashion show. Who's hosting
We
the fashion
scrapped
show?
that.
We scrapped that. Yeah.
We
Who
had,
all are you guys getting in terms of like who's casting whoever is going to star in these videos?
Oh, everybody.
We're-
The school.
We're gonna do a lot.
This
Entire
is why
school.
Stephanie needed.
Oh, okay.
we had a plan
Stephanie
for school.
made the
Stephanie
Mecca
made
Confessions, but she's
yeah.
not here today.
Who has access to the school Facebook page?
Me, I'm kidding. Miss Sun.
Besides Miss Sun, did anybody schedule a meeting with Miss Sun to then get access to that?
No.
Oh, okay.
And I know they love me, but they haven't asked her yet.
We actually had
Okay,
a
can I
plan
have
to,
access?
No.
email, like,
You
the
have to come and
corporation.
tell me what, you have
I-
to be very specific, what you're gonna put up.
Tomorrow.
Okay. Who's going to write those letters?
I'm kidding. I gotta go to school tomorrow.
I've written one before, they answered me back.
So is that you? You're going to write the letters to reach these corporations? Do you know what you're going to say?
I have an idea of what I'm gonna say.
Or is it just you writing it, or is it everybody's input on it?
They wanna help.
Okay. So you're taking lead on that?
Yeah.
So what's the timeline on you writing those letters?
I should have one.
Ultimately, what I'm getting at is that
We need time management.
you guys need time. Exactly. So when they were saying that this campaign that you guys just saw launched in December, and they briefed for it in March, they weren't just sitting around listening to people talk, eating pizza, playing with pens, writing notes back and forth to each other. They weren't doing that.
Do you guys ever hear of backward planning?
Yeah.
You know the date that everything's due, and then you take a look at the calendar and you figure out how many days it takes you to do X, Y, and Z, and then you double it. So you might have to start making everything now if you're going to be ready for next October, because you're not even here together in the summertime.
There's a lot of people here, you can accomplish a lot. you should be specific about delegating tasks. So you're writing a letter to Nike. Okay, that's great, that's your job. You might take input from 2 or 3 others, but what's everybody else doing, right? There's a lot of different tasks. We talked about producing that. There are at least 100 different elements, different project paths that needed to happen to get to 12 pieces, right? I'm gonna guess there's at least that many tasks that you guys can be doing. So make sure everybody's got a role, and then set deadlines. Make sure that you guys are hitting those.
And this also is a great place if you want to be on doing creative or you want to do project management. This is a great way to start doing it too.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.